She doesn't even go here!
I'm bi, actually.
Excuse me. Could the ugly, untalented gays please report to the principal's office?
Hi, I'm Kurt Homo, and I'll be auditioning for the role of kicker.
Hello! Welcome in, everybody. Thank you so much for tuning in to today's episode of Not So Straight Nerds. I'm your host, Luke.
And I'm your host, Alicia.
And today we are talking about Interview with the Vampire, and most recently, The Vampire Lestat. A very, very great show on AMC+.
Absolutely.
Whew!
And just quick shout out, you can also watch the first 2 seasons called Interview with a Vampire on Netflix right now. So
Yes.
The Vampire Lestat is technically season 3, but also kind of
They rebranded.
its own thing. Yes, but it's only on AMC Plus right now. So shall see. But they do free trials, so do free
Yeah,
trials.
that's how we did it. We waited
Yeah.
for the whole season to release, and then we watched it all within like 1 week.
Yeah.
So,
There you go.
doable.
Yeah. I'm so excited to talk about this show because I love it. I love like all things vampires. There are a lot of vampire things we could reference and talk about. But I would say we could definitely just do some spoiler warnings for this show.
Yes.
The 3 seasons.
Yes,
So.
definitely. And
And I haven't read the books, so I really don't know. I won't have anything to add, really. We could talk maybe minor things on upcoming stuff that we just happen to know about,
yeah.
but that's like the big things. So, not really spoiler warnings for the books. Just kind of
Yeah.
the show. Yeah.
Fair
Anyways,
enough.
so excited.
So, before we get started, how are the vibes? We're finally doing an episode on this.
The vibes are good. I'm excited to do an episode on this. One day, we're going through the Vampire Diaries and the originals right now. Luke may force me to rewatch Legacies someday. It's what I deserve after showing him Klaus at his biggest op. Anyways, eventually we'll do a video on that when we finish. But that's been like probably almost a year and counting since we've started, because it's it's a long show and it's not our priority. So it's basically just when we don't have other things to watch, we watch it. So it's taken a while, but we have finished season 5 of Vampire Diaries, and we're almost in the middle of season 2 of the original. So
Yes.
we're like halfway done. Anyways, it's fine. But yeah, we've seen Twilight. I've read some other vampire books, seen some other vampire stuff. But
Was
this
it
is the
Shadow
focus
Hunters?
today.
Love me some Shadow Hunters.
Anyways, but this is very, very good and very iconic and very old. So I'm excited to talk about all things vampire.
Surely.
Yeah.
So, let's start with the first 2 seasons. I feel like they're
Well,
tidy.
actually, you put on here, we should start with the film.
Yes, we should.
Yes.
So, and I watched this movie first, and like
Mm-hmm.
a year or 2 before I started on the show.
Yeah. I watched the first 2 seasons before I watched the movie.
Ooh, that's worse.
Well, but you showed me the movie, so I feel like that helps. And I also love Tom Cruise, so that helps. I don't like Brad Pitt, but at least within that movie was fun. Like, at least he gets to be a vampire and not like just be Brad Pitt, I guess.
I don't know. From what I
don't know.
remember,
Could be
it's one
worse.
of his like most stale performances.
Yeah. No, but Tom Cruise is inspired casting. I loved that, and I think he killed that. And if I ever in my life ever got to talk to him, I would so bring up that show or that movie. I'd be like, ugh. And then I love, the Top Gun movies re-released recently, and he's been having this promotion for his new movie in October where he's like showing clips from all of his movies, and in that one his clip is I assume I need no introduction, and he eats that. Ugh. I'm like, you are so good in that movie. It's a mediocre movie, especially when you watch the show first. I do wish I watched the movie first, but I don't think I knew about the movie before the show. But it's okay. It's all right. They tried. But I don't even think they were ever actually officially in a couple in that movie.
It's really weird. They like have an
is.
entire movie about this gay couple and go around the fact that they're a gay couple.
Yes.
And I think that's so gross.
It's very gross. It's very bizarre. Again, why even make it if you're not?
And you know what? I'll say this. It reeks of Brad Pitt interference.
Yeah. Would not be surprised. But Tom Cruise showed up and tried to do his best, so I appreciate the effort. But I would, yeah. Just like, why do an adaptation if you're not going to adapt it? So
No, and then MJ's actress as Claudia.
yes, Kirsten Dunst.
Kirsten Dunst. That's like the youngest I've seen her yet.
Yeah, it's
And
very fun.
When she like collects her dolls, like that's stuck in my head.
Yeah. No, I think that was actually very fun. I don't think I knew that it was going to be her before watching it, and so I was like, is that Kirsten Dunst? Because she definitely still has the face. You know, some people look different when they're a kid versus an adult, but I'm like, that's Kirsten Dunst right there, but like very young. So that was very fun casting.
No, but when I was watching that, it was really bizarre because it felt so long, and I think our main character doesn't pop at all. So it was screaming to be a TV show. So whenever I knew about, I think the first season had already been out by the time I was watching it, I was like, I could see this being a lot better as a show.
Absolutely. It's such a shame that it is not advertised as it should. I don't like it's kind of the thing where I want to say thank you to AMC for making it and actually properly adapting it, because they did make a great show. But it's just a shame when then they don't promote it, they don't properly push for the Emmys, and I think this could could have done great at the Emmys had it been pushed properly. So it's just I wish it was almost like AMC made it, but Netflix takes over like the marketing and they're
the ones who pushed it out. Like,
yeah,
they made it really popular.
Sure, but I wish they did that in time for the Emmys. You know what I mean?
Fair.
So yeah. But we shall see. Because the Vampire Lestat, we'll get there. But it could still, maybe. We shall see.
Wait.
I don't know. So you watched this show fairly recently, like last year, I think?
The show.
Interview with the Vampire.
Yes. I think that was early this year.
Okay. Let's see. And then I watched it, I don't even know, like a few years ago. I think I watched it when season 2 came out. I watched both. Binged both. So, yeah.
Per?
It's very good. What was your experience with watching it? Especially since you had a different experience. You watched the movie first and then
Yes.
got
So,
a better adaptation.
you know, we just talked about this feeling in the Avatar episode, but it was like watching the Netflix show and then seeing the movie, and it's like, gosh, I missed this. But it's like, gosh, I knew this could be something.
Yeah.
So, first off, Jacob Anderson and, oh my god, what's the Stats actor's name?
I just blanked on it.
His name is Sam Reed.
Yes.
Phenomenal casting and such amazing actors.
First of all, I love it. It was giving for a long time, like that's such a vampire name. And I believe it's because Nikki Reed is a name. She played, what the heck is her name? Esme or something?
Renesmee?
No, that's the baby. It's the
mom,
she
yeah.
combined. No, she's not the mom. She's the blonde lady from Twilight who killed all those people. In the bride in the wedding dress.
Right.
I just forget. It's like they combined Renee and Esme, but I don't remember her character's name. Anyways, she's from the Twilight movies, and her name is Nikki Reed, and I believe that's why Sam Reed's name gives vampire, because they both have Reed in their name.
I suppose so.
Yeah. No, they both are phenomenal castings, and they both have different moments to shine, even within the first 2 seasons. Like, obviously, the Vampire Lestat focuses more on Lestat, but even within the first 2 seasons, I feel like the first season highlights Lestat so much. I mean, it highlights both, but he's the standout between the two if I had to pick in the first season. And then easily, Jacob Anderson is the standout in season 2.
Well, but like Lestat's barely in season 2.
Well, yes, but like it's so fun that he gets highlighted in season 2. So, yeah. And then we get 2 different Claudias, which actually I think works really, really well. I mean, obviously, like,
Go off, girl. Be an avatar.
yeah,
Can't blame you.
Get your bag. But and then it means we got who we got. So what's her name?
Her name?
Because season 1 was played by Bailey Bass, who's in the Avatar movies, like the Blue People Avatar. Since we just mentioned
The
other
newer
one.
Claudia is Delaney Hales.
She's amazing.
And I think the switch in actress comes at such a great time
Yes.
because then she's such a colder Claudia, but it feels like it makes sense for exactly when that
Yes.
that switch happens.
Season 1 Claudia is played by Bailey Bass, and she plays such a youthful, immature, quirky, almost bratty, I guess, as a vampire. I don't know if that's the best word, but just such a fun character who has so much light and like wittiness to her. And it works well because she mirrors like Lestat in an interesting way. And then season 2, obviously Lestat's barely in it, and so she's more so with Louis, but I feel like she also mirrors that very well. And she's not in either season a direct reflection of one of them. She is her own character, but she's always been very, very interesting to watch because she's so lost in their love story, and they talk about that a lot on the show. But she is such a compelling character, even with being like overshadowed purposefully by the love story. She definitely makes a name for herself. So, shout out to both of those actresses. But yeah,
Absolutely. I love the whole like pitch. It's like such an off note in the movie where it's like the interview and you only see the interviewer at the beginning and the end,
Yeah.
and then there's 3 hours in between. But I love the bringing in of Daniel and like showing his impact of like what it's like to live in a world with vampires modern day.
I love that they have flashbacks to him trying to interview them when they were all younger. That was a very interesting dynamic. So shout out to both of those actors as well. I thought they did a great job and great casting too. They look like
Oh yeah.
that is great casting. And then, yeah, I agree. I think it always makes for a great narrative push or guide to have like these flashbacks, but it's being told by a narrator in a way. And I love just the format of it being an interview.
Yeah,
Very
and like the artifacts from their life and
Mm-hmm.
like the aesthetic of like the cold modern penthouse vibe when it's
Yeah.
happening. It's so it's such a unique aesthetic. It's
Mm-hmm.
so cool. It goes from something so cold to like something so lively and dark.
Mm-hmm.
It's so cool.
But I feel like that's a good reflection of the relationship of who he's in a relationship with Louis, with Armand being very cold and like basic,
Yeah.
almost like sterile. And then Lestat is so like they're in New Orleans, so they have so much culture. There's so much music and beauty there. But it's imperfect, and I think that is such a beautiful reflection.
Absolutely. The story moves at such a beautiful pace. I love the way it explores their connection, and then when they bring Claudia in, the way they explore that change in dynamic between all 3 of them, and then the way their dynamics change throughout those 2 seasons is crazy. I
love how like throughout the entire show, it's just so they just refuse to show a perfect couple or a perfect family. Like it is just never a perfect relationship, a perfect dynamic, perfect family. Like there are no perfect relationships here. It is all very flawed, very messy, very nuanced. But that just makes for such an interesting story. I mean, these are not perfect people. There's no good guy, bad guy. There's very, very, very toxic moments. And they do not shy away from that at all. They don't try to shine Lestat in a brighter light. They don't try to make Louis perfect either.
I really love that it starts because it's Louis' story, and then like as the interview goes, he really pushes him to reveal that like he wasn't perfect and he did also do some really messed up things. And then in Lestat the Vampire, they continue to double down on that idea, and they bring Claudia into it.
Yeah.
And we'll get there, but
Yeah.
it's really interesting that this show looks and like highlights in such a beautiful way how messed up these people are.
Yeah. It's so cool and makes for such an interesting story.
Not to mention, if I may say, I think like maybe the coolest vampires.
Oh yeah. I think this is the best told and just the best like representation of vampires. I think this is the coolest representation of vampires. It's just so on its own level compared to like Twilight and Vampire Diaries. I mean, they're their own thing, and no hate to them. I actually love both. But they're just so different. They're not. No one's trying to be one another. They exist in their own spaces, and shine in their own ways. But this is very, very like mature. And
this one is really giving, I think, like classic vampire in modern age, in like ages where you wouldn't expect them, and it's so cool. It blends in really well.
Yep.
La, 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 la. Any cons affiliated with those first 2 seasons? I would maybe say the closest is Armand. And let me say, first season, I think is a perfect season.
Masterpiece.
Season 2, just the slightest drop below.
It stings because on a rewatch, it's almost like I forgot that the trial is not a big part of that. Because I loved that.
It's
I was
an
looking forward to it.
episode.
Yes. When it gets to the trial, it's like perfect from then on. But it takes a while to get there. And I forgot that. I like blocked Armand out of my memory. Ugh. I just remembered I hated him, but I didn't remember how long I'd have to see and hate him.
Yeah, Armand can be really rough. And rest assured, we'll circle back to Armand later as well. But I think he just slightly overstays his welcome a handful of times in season 2.
Yeah.
And by the end of it, I'm like, ugh.
I'm over you.
Like, how can you... The mastermind and the victim player. And it's just crazy.
It's too much of it.
Yes.
Like, that is his character, and so it fits. Like, shout out to the actor. He does a great job. I would not want to be you, because I'm sure you get a lot of hate. That's not your fault, because you're not Armand. But anyways, you play a great character. It's just... Or you play a character very well. But, God, the character is annoying.
He's... At a certain point, he becomes very one beat of the... Like, he's done all this horrible stuff, but he's like, but I'm the victim. And that starts in season 2. And spoiler alert, it is all he's doing in season 3.
Yeah.
But, and I will say I was fine with it for a decent bit, but towards the end I was just so done with that.
Yeah. I agree.
And that was before the big reveal.
Yeah, it's like when it doesn't overshine stuff and it doesn't cover most of certain episodes, it's fine. When he's like, just there, pops up every now and then to be annoying, and then he leaves, it's fine. And then he like leads stuff, and then it's like, I'm over you. But again, the trial I think works because he's just enough in the background, and then the reveal comes and it's great and it's really well done. But yeah, until then he's just so aggravating, even when we're supposed to think he's a good guy. It's like we are Daniel in that moment. We are like the biggest Armand haters. He hates Armand, and it's understandable because Armand like almost killed him, in that flashback. But even then, I think he just hates Armand, which makes for
So valid.
interesting pathway they go down in season 3.
Indeed.
Which is from the books I've read, but why? Anyways, we'll get there.
But yeah. It's still an amazing season. I remember there was a point where I was like missing Lestat because he is just a bolt of energy.
Yes.
But then when he shows up, it is
Well,
works
and
really
Claudia
well.
too. It's like we're missing Claudia too for a lot of it. But at least we get a lot of her in the flashback still. But yeah, I'm just missing them. I'm trying to think anything else. I will say I want to shout out the trial. I think the trial is really well done.
The trial, the party in season 1.
Yes. Yes, that's really well done. The plan for Louis and Claudia to take down Lestat, I think, was well done because it seemed like it was obvious what was going to happen, and then it still had a twist. And then that last episode, but specifically like that kind of mostly final scene. I guess it's not technically the final scene, but the final scene with Louis and Lestat is like one of the most beautiful scenes I've ever seen in my life.
Yes.
It just makes you want to cry. I remember I cried the first time I watched that. Like both of them should have won Emmys for that. I really and they didn't even get a nom. It's crazy. That's what I mean. It's like, AMC, you're making a great show, but like I want this to be acknowledged.
This
in the
could be
awards race.
everything.
I know. Not even a nom. It's just crazy. Anyways. But yeah, very well done overall. And then a fun little reveal that Daniel is now a vampire at the end of season 2. Thanks to Armand, which we'll get to later.
Oh, Armand.
But at least it is kind of fun that he's a vampire.
It
now.
is, and Daniel's like living his best life.
Yeah.
Which I think is really funny.
Yeah. And he did publish the book despite Louis destroying the laptop because he didn't know a cloud was a thing. I thought that was funny. And then he's still having to fight people that this is a real story and not some like fiction thing. I think that's, again, interesting for something that they build up towards in season 3.
Absolutely.
So of people still not acknowledging their existence, it'll be interesting where we go with that. So.
Indeed.
And then we find out we're getting a season 3, but they've already covered the first book, so now we're going to the Vampire Lestat, which is mostly, I guess partially from his perspective of what the events that happened in the first 2 seasons. We fill in some gaps there. We fill in some gaps of his origin story, before, during, and after him being turned as a vampire, and then him rising to fame in the modern day story, as a singer.
Yeah, as a rock artist.
Yeah.
Dude, what a fun thing. Dude.
What a fun vibe.
It's so different from the other seasons.
Yes.
I'm kind of like glad that they did the rebrand. I don't always
Yeah.
love when shows do that.
Mm-hmm.
But I totally get it here.
Yeah.
And so fun. I loved having an opportunity for him to be the main character.
Mm-hmm.
Because he does such great work, but I think ultimately he's near like a co-lead actor in the first season, but I think ultimately I'd say he's a great supporting role.
Yeah.
I loved him being able to be the main character here.
Yes.
And we
absolutely.
still have Louis a decent bit, which is what I was kind of worried about.
Mm-hmm.
But then he showed up and never really left, and I was like, thank God.
Yeah. Even Daniel, for like probably half of this, is interesting. He pops up.
Yeah,
He's there.
he starts out really interesting. Whenever he's like doing the documentary, I was like, Daniel, you're so who you think you are.
Yeah. I loved that scene specifically between him and Lestat, where Lestat finally sits down for an interview, and that whole like reveal and scene and everything that happens in that episode is so great. It's just when the Armand and him stuff starts that I'm like, I need you two
Does this
off
make
of my
sense?
screen. No,
Anyways.
actually.
Well, we'll circle back to
we'll
that.
get
So
there.
sorry.
Still best parts.
But yeah, the idea that he was gonna be in a rock band, and then off the bat, it's like the songs are gonna be a huge part of that.
Get this man
and I
on
love it.
Broadway.
Dude, he's
So
such a good
talented.
performer.
Yeah.
The intro,
Mm-hmm.
dude, that's Emmy material. What do you mean? This thing better get nominated for like best opening title.
I don't know.
Like that's so cool.
After season 2 didn't get anything, I'm like, no
That's
longer
insane to me.
having faith. Always hope, but don't have it. don't have a lot of faith.
Always hope and never bet.
Yeah, exactly.
Gosh, it's so fun. I love seeing him interact with different vampires. And I love seeing his like origin in such a different fragmented way.
Mm-hmm.
It's so interesting, especially when it does kind of what I love about Once Upon a Time, where it's like you're seeing a flashback, but in a way that directly correlates to what he's doing in modern time. Love that use of flashbacks.
Yeah.
But it's so cool. And then the way that those flashbacks are tying into the songs that he's creating and working on. The whole dynamic of him presenting as a vampire, but also putting up like, is it real? Is it fake? And seeing the effort he puts into making it fake is really funny. Seeing the whole dynamic between Lestat and Louis kind of reconnecting, but will they, won't they?
Yeah.
It's such an interesting dynamic to go from tragic lovers to this now.
It's very interesting because you're constantly like, are they actually together, or are they just like reconnected and just like communicating now? Then it seems like they are together, and then they go to the thing.
This is
with
a situation.
Claudia.
This is situationship as fuck.
This is the messy situationship for sure. And then they have the thing with Claudia, and it's so interesting because I feel like we're so used to in media, a big conflict occurs and they break up, but I feel like that's not always the case with this couple. I feel like, I thought after the Claudia thing, I was like, ooh, how are we going to recover from that as a couple? And like, they're fine after that as a couple. They're like, damn, that was crazy.
Anyways.
Love you. And I'm like, oh my gosh, I love y'all. This is so different and refreshing that it's just interesting, the things that get to them as a couple and the things that don't. You would think that would have gotten to them, and it really didn't. So they're both like, man, I gotta do some work on myself, but we're good.
Yeah, their dynamic really sells this show. Even when one or the other isn't there, it's always the presence is still there.
Yeah.
And it's so cool.
Even then, it's like Louis for so long. I mean, obviously they fight and horrible things happen. Lestat almost kills Louis. Loki does kill Lestat, but like not really. And it's always like, obviously these are these big dramatic things. I mean, killing each other as a couple is the craziest thing you could probably do. But Lestat does not actually kill Louis, just severely injures him. And kind of similar to Louis, he still leaves Lestat to potentially be revived one day. I mean, you are objectively leaving him to potentially come back until you're like cutting his head off and actually doing the proper thing. And Claudia says that too. That's why she's so angry with him, because he doesn't ever actually properly kill Lestat. So it's like, even when they're at their worst, they're still never actually letting each other go. And then Louis is with Armand for so long, but that's all based on a lie.
A really big one, actually.
Really big and prolonged lie. And so it's never a proper, like, knowledgeable choice to separate in a legit way, like permanent way. And I love that about them. They're like, we're crazy, but like we're crazy for each other. So
no, so much during this season we were both like, and like they're toxic, but they kind of need to get back together for everyone else's sake.
They wreak havoc. No, there's another thing where it's like certain reveals, especially on Lestat's end, where you're like, whoa, how is your couple gonna survive after this? And they low-key again get over it pretty quickly for what it was. Anyways, they're just so crazy. I love them.
I'm gonna shout out, since we're basically going through best parts, which I don't know if we've officially stated. Lestat, the cast, the new people here, I think are also very fun.
Yeah.
They don't necessarily pop the way that like Claudia does. I don't think there's a proper substitute for her here, but she's very fun. Maybe the closest substitute for Claudia is like Daniel. Like, he's a lot more central to the story now.
Yeah. But even then, he's still kind of Daniel. He's just in a different format because it's not like he's having a overall friendly interview with Louis. He's now, the truth is out. Louis and Lestat have don't really like him, but at least like Lestat is trying to be petty because he didn't like the book. It was so funny anytime he went to the book. Lies.
That never happened. Dude, him crashing out was so funny. And he does it quite a lot, actually.
He does.
He's so funny.
Ugh. When they're in the like meeting with their lawyers and he's like, "You're sleeping with your lawyer?" And then Louis like, "Are you sleeping with your lawyer?" And he's like, "Yeah." Give them their 10s. That was amazing. I just love that. He's like, "That's not the point." Oh my god.
Also,
Okay.
oh my gosh, the songs.
Yes. So good. I still need to download them. I still haven't done that.
Banger after banger after banger.
No, I can't. Like, what do you mean? He's not like topping the charts right now. Like, no, nobody cares about your stupid music. I do. I think this is great. I love it. And again, your brand is like, you might be a vampire, you might not be. Like, people would eat that up in this day and age. That's crazy.
Do you have a favorite song or performance?
Ooh, I don't know.
I do.
I mean, the intro, and then I really like, he has like a song for Louis. I even like his petty songs, like the one for Armand is
Big
really
Boss.
funny. Yeah, that entire scene. But it's not just the songs, it's like how they choose to film it too. It's always very different and very interesting. But I do love that intro song. That is such a good choice for one that you hear every single episode. That was a great choice.
Absolutely.
So
My favorite song that he does is Stained Glass Eyes, the song that he's singing about Claudia after the summons.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Dude. It's really interesting to see their dynamic after the fact.
Mm-hmm.
I want to jump right back into the Claudia of it all.
Yeah. Oh, real quick though, I wanted to shout out I don't know what the song is, but he covers an existing song.
Dancing with myself.
Yes, I loved that.
He
Ate that. Yes. Just wanted to shout that out. I'm glad you remembered because I was like, what is that song called? Yes. But the Claudia / Regina of it all.
Oh my gosh. I had seen on Twitter as these episodes were being released that Claudia returns. Mm-hmm. And I remember being like, huh?
No, I had seen that it was not Claudia, but the actress returned. Because I had seen that clip with her and Lestat where she's saying, "But I look like her," which I love the context of the scene when we actually get that. I did not know that she was like defending it and being like almost a little like snappy. But I love that he gets to show how much he did really love Claudia by knowing that, you know, she has a heart murmur, or she had a heart murmur. You don't.
Your
you
walk
have
is
like
different.
you have a different walk that she didn't have.
She didn't have her eyes.
Claudia is like constantly haunting the narrative, and I love that. That is so Claudia. And again, that actress does such a great job, because I believe that this is not Claudia right now, even though you have the same face, obviously. Even before the summons, which, oh my god, she kills, by the way. That is maybe my favorite scene in the entire
It's crazy.
show, actually. But even before that, when Louis, the Bruce of it all, gets brought up again, I won't go into much detail, but he goes and gets revenge for her. I do love that scene, but I do also love that is how that is brought up again in the summons. How he has the audacity to bring that up is like, "Don't be mad at me." Oh, I'm so glad she got his ass for that. He's like, "Isn't there something you should be thanking me for?" Whack him again, Claudia. Ugh, that was so. Even Lestat was like, "Damn, I can't believe you said that." And if Lestat is looking at you like that, that's how you know you messed up. So, no, I appreciate how all of that was handled. I thought that was really well done.
It's crazy. I think it's a very bold choice to make Claudia a lot messier after the fact.
Oh yeah,
Like,
she is unforgiving of them.
it's specifically at Louis, and like
Mm-hmm.
to an understandable extent, but also to go back and like admit to saying like horrible things about Lestat that weren't true, and like to stand on business like that after the fact. It certainly changes how, because so much of what we see of her is Louis's memory of her. So it's very interesting to have her come out and like show a very
Destroy
different
that.
side of her.
Yeah.
And it completely destroys that image of her. It's intense.
Because Louis, I feel like, always tries to present himself as perfect, but the show does not let him do that ever. It always, like, maybe at first it does, but then they always have some sort of flashback or character to call him out and say, actually, these good intentions were very selfish. Like, just the creation of Claudia, I just love the entire thing because Lestat knows what kind of burden that's going to put on her and why they don't create young vampires like that, because she's forever going to be stuck in a body that is young, where her mind will mature and evolve.
But also the idea that it would drive her crazy.
Yes, but I think he knew that, and so he really didn't. But Louis was so selfish and didn't care, and didn't know the extent of that, didn't understand, and didn't trust Lestat enough to believe what that burden would be like. And Lestat was always, he was nothing if not truthful and himself. And I think at a certain extent, Claudia respected that more than what she got with Louis. And we didn't always see that at first, but I do think after that summons, like, it was very much giving, like, at least Lestat has always been himself. You are hiding behind this perfect narrative that is just not true for you. And again, like, not too much on Louis. I love Louis. But I love that, because I usually hate characters that try to present themselves as perfect. So I love that here I'm still able to love him because they show his flaws. And to be fair, for the most part, he takes that. And he says, I need to work on myself, clearly. In the summons, with the Regina thing, when he gets properly called out for that, he's like, you're right, like, I need to work on myself. This is not right. So I love that. I love how they're unwilling to let him be perfect because he's not. So, yeah.
Indeed.
Jacob Anderson, you're so amazing.
Any other pros before maybe we switch gears?
Those are
That's
the
a lot
big
of them.
ones. Yeah, those were the very, very big ones.
Okay, I want to switch to the big elephant in the room. Hey, Lestat's mom/lover.
Okay, first of all, I will say that one good thing about her is I think her look is so cute. I love it. Like, the white hair,
And I think that actress is doing a really
wears.
good job.
Yeah, it's just the writing of what happens between the two of them that's like,
Do you know if that's in the book?
I think I want to say I read that it was, but it wasn't focused on as much as it is in this show. Basically, like, that is a thing that is hinted towards or maybe like suggested, but it's not like so
Leaned
in your
into.
face. Yes. And here's the thing with that. This show, like I've said multiple times this episode, does not shy away from the messiness of these characters. And so I think it is a continuation of that pattern by not shying away from this incest. However, I appreciate the parallel they were clearly trying to make with also Louis and Regina's thing. I just feel like not only are these two things equally morally disturbing, I think I feel like the incest is
There's a
clearly
clear
worse.
differentiation.
Yeah, clearly worse than like being delusional because you miss your daughter. I mean, yes, that's like Louis, you need some help. That's concerning, and this could become dangerous and weird. Like, or it is weird, but like, I don't know, very quickly. But it is like objectively not as bad as like sleeping with your mother. And they don't focus on it near as much. They could have maybe dived into it, and
The why of it all, I think, is really
Yes.
missing.
I agree. I totally agree. I feel like they maybe should have shown Louis and Regina's whole thing more, and that could have added on to that weirdness and maybe taken away from Lestat and his mom a little bit to balance it out a little bit more. And I think there was something there that was maybe danced around a little too much if you're going to be so bold in your face with their lovers. I think there's clearly a dynamic there where he's still a victim, he's being taken advantage of. Because, I mean, not only are you older than him and you're starting this relationship when he's young and vulnerable, but you're also just his mother. So those are two different things where you are in a position of power that he is not. So he is a victim, but I feel like that isn't talked about as much as it should be. Like, I really... how do I phrase this? I thought the parallel between what happened between Claudia and Bruce and what happened between Lestat and his creator
Magnus.
was actually very powerful. That could have easily come off as like, this is not a good comparison, but I actually think it really, really was. And I wish they had that equally powerful moment for what was clearly disturbing between him and his mom. Because it's also just too blurred of lines at like what point does it become consent? Is it ever consent properly? It's just too messy, and it's not talked about enough to excuse the amount of times we see things happen.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it was always going to be disturbing, but it's like,
The moment
know.
he like keeps teeing up pretty early on the like, and bear with me, we'll get back to the whole mama lover of it all.
yeah.
And then when he's like, and let's talk about it. It's just different when you're a vampire. And I fear, don't set it up that you're going to explain it for multiple episodes and then have that be your answer.
Yeah.
Because obviously there's so many more dynamics to it, and
Mhm.
it feels like I can see glimpses of that when we see the flashbacks of their original family dynamic.
Yeah.
But also to an extent where I think you get a lot of it across, because so much of the importance of that dynamic is she left him as a vampire, and that started his like big fear of being alone. And did that need to be romantic to hit like that? I don't think at all.
Well, and again, I do still, like, I obviously would have rather not have gone that at all. But I do think there's still a way, if you want to make it romantic and that kind of messiness, I think there's still a way to do that. And the audience is going to, like, be grossed out by it, because they should be, and that is an objectively gross thing. No matter what, if you're going to do that, audiences are going to be grossed out by it. But I do think there's a way to at least add it to the story and add a layer to him. Because at the end of the day, I think he does realize that it's wrong and basically says he's going to stop. Like, that's why him and Louis have that confrontation and that entire thing. But I just don't know if it was quite as well done as it could have been.
I don't know. There's also probably a comparison between how he treats his mother versus how he treats Louis, in that no matter what happens, he's always going to go back to them. It's just, I don't know. There's either more to be done or less to have been shown.
Yeah, I agree. Have more of a balance there. I don't know.
But I don't know. There's a base level where I'm like, I appreciate what they're doing, but
Well, like in the end,
trying to
when
do.
she's wanting him, like almost forcing him to do the concert, and he's seeming like he's saying no, it almost comes off as maybe he's doing it just because she wants him to do it. Like, maybe that's his way of rejecting her finally. But again, I don't feel like we get enough of that. We'll see if we get more next season of that. But I feel like the moment to do it was this season. So I don't know. Overall, a con.
Weird.
Yeah. Our other big con is definitely the Daniel and Armand of it all.
I'm
I
going to
mean-
say more emphasis on the Armand of it all.
Yeah, I just think I do also believe this happens in the book. I actually think I've read that they like end up together in the books. I think that's what I was reading because I was kind of basically looking up like, when do they break up? And my consensus that I was getting was they don't, and I'm like, oh no, because I don't care for Armand. Daniel has always hated Armand. And there's obviously been a vibe with him and Louis. That's
Yes.
always been a thing. But I have never seen a vibe with him and Armand, ever. It's always been, to me, hatred. And between the two of them, he's always liked Louis much more. And so it just seems like it's almost bad writing. Like, this does not make sense. If this didn't happen in the books, I would have said this is a horrible writing choice. At least I guess they're adapting it. But it's like,
But
why
you
didn't
didn't
you write it in
prepare
the
this
first place?
from the get-go. And you're not
Yeah.
adding enough now for me to buy that there's like any kind
Why
of
is this
chemistry between
happening?
them.
Yeah. I feel like I'm just missing something because Armand is obviously a pathetic loser who just kind of like love bombs people and is way too intense with that and will do anything to stay with them. And so clearly he's continuing that pattern here with Daniel when he sees an opportunity. I just don't buy. I think that's fine. That's a consistent pattern even though I don't like him. It's the Daniel of it all where I just don't buy that he would be with Armand. I don't see what happened or what a part of your character would ever open you up to this. I don't see that. The only thing is that they tried to be like, oh, well, we have a vampire bond. Okay, but that doesn't mean you have to be together. ACOTAR fans, it's like the whole like mate of it all. You have like a mate bond, but you're allowed to reject that. It's the universe like suggest. It's kind of like Vampire Diaries too, with the doppelgangers always ending up together, but they can choose not to, despite the universe trying to push them together. They can say no, and right now they are. So it's like this can be a thing where the universe is trying to pull them together, but I still don't buy that Daniel would say yes to
It's
that.
really weird. I don't see any like glimmer of that. Like it's weird. And then but also here every time Armand tries to talk to Louis or Lestat, I'm like, get the hell out of here. These people do not owe you anything. You have been lying and like you killed their daughter.
Yeah.
And framed one of them for it.
Yeah.
And have been having a relationship built on that lie.
He was
for
gonna
a century.
kill Louis.
Yes.
The only reason Louis didn't die is because of Lestat. Armand had no hand in that.
The idea that that Louis owes Armand anything after that, I can't stand that for a second.
No, me neither.
And it's one thing for the show to highlight how obnoxious that is, but it really doesn't.
No. not
Tragically,
properly.
at the end, it's giving, yeah, Louis did have some things that he owed to Armand. And it's like, no!
No, he did not.
He did not owe that man
I reject
shit.
that. Yeah.
And it's one thing for him to have done it, but, like, the show is to, like, and yeah, he's gonna be better off for having said that. No. He'll be better off when Armand is dead. And no sooner.
Yeah.
I can't.
So over it. I'm so over seeing him, and then apparently, isn't that kind of what's happening next season, or no?
The next season is about the rise of Akasha, which is another kind of con for me, because randomly after he buries himself, I think after his mother abandons him, that is when, and after Nikki's dead, he buries himself because he's distraught, and then Akasha's keeper drags him out because she's like, hey, you lost the lottery, she wants you to watch her now.
Yeah.
And then he's the one who starts off waking her back up, which is supposedly the whole reason the world ends in the future, prompted by their concert somehow.
It's so weird because the show ends with, it seems like he's refusing to do the concert, but then the flash forward is supposedly he did do the concert and that led to the end of the world. So it's like, but I thought he just said no.
Multiple questions on that. For one, this whole season in the recording that's narrating this,
Yes.
it's talking about the infamous Failures concert that happened. And then all to be done at the very end. And in this last episode, it's even constantly building up Lestat performing something.
Yeah.
Like in that like little mind trial he's having. Great, by the way. Love that whole thing.
Yeah.
But then he doesn't even perform. He sees Paul, which is great. Hey, Paul. Love that. But you're not performing. And then when they're like, hey, you got to get on stage, dude. And it's like, And it's like,
What
he clearly
happened?
does. But then how do we get there? And why the hell are we not seeing this
Yeah.
in the season that's building up to this concert?
I agree. I think ultimately, like, it just needed to happen in this season. Like, it could happen next season, but I don't think it should. I think it should have happened this season.
Well, because, like, if it does happen next season, you're in Game of the House of the Dragon territory, where the second season ended too soon, and you had to wait until the next season to start with the big battle that season 2 was building towards.
Yeah.
But then the rest of your
What else do
season
you do?
is
Yeah.
so boring in comparison.
Yeah.
And not that you couldn't find other things to keep up with that energy, but that's an uphill battle that I wouldn't want to start my show on.
Yeah, I don't know. I feel like the only reason I have faith that they'll still pull off something good is because so far everything's been overall good. House of the Dragon is not on that level, and so not surprised they haven't done a good job this season. But yeah, I have more faith in this show to pull
Sure.
that off, but I do still definitely have my hesitations for sure. They have lost me a little bit. But
Very
we'll
bizarre.
see.
And then also, just on a very smaller note, the editing in the first episode was throwing me off weirdly. It feels like they were doing flashbacks, ahead flashbacks, and it's giving that trend on TikTok where it's like subtle foreshadowing.
Yeah.
And it's like, boom, boom, boom.
Yeah.
Okay, I fear not our strongest choice.
No, I loved that.
And then
But this is
whenever
me.
there's a couple of times the effects didn't look very good, specifically in the end when it's Daniel looking into the bag where Armand's head is and he's like in the trial. I'm like, this head is not here.
No, I literally, you remember I said, please be a giant head looking into this. And then it was, and I loved that. I ate that up.
But like it didn't look like, if it looked more like the bag opening up, but
Whatever.
it's like his
It was a
disembodied
giant
through a
head.
window. I'm like, okay.
It's fine. I was just so hyped that actually happened that I couldn't have cared less about anything else.
No, man.
Anyways.
But you know, that's super nitpicky compared to the bigger problems.
Yeah.
But I think that's about all my cons.
I think the first season I gave like a 9.5 or 10 out of 10, something like that. And then the second season I gave, I believe, an 8 out of 10. This I gave an 8.5 out of 10,
Interesting.
which is interesting. But I don't know. Armand was in this a lot more. And at least, like, as much as I hated Lestat and his mom, at least I liked the actress. I mean, I liked Armand's actor, but he just looked like a pathetic loser too.
It's
Again, great acting, great look. No shade.
It's
to the
one
real
thing
person,
to
but
have your character be pathetic, but it's if your show's not acknowledging it, then it's
Yeah.
obnoxious.
at least I do feel like, for the most part, they acknowledged this was weird. I just don't feel like they had a good excuse for it writing wise. But at least the vibe was definitely like, I mean, everyone who found out hated it. So the show was very clearly taking the stand of this is weird. So at least they acknowledged that. Versus Armand, they didn't, I don't think, properly acknowledged that he's not actually
That he's
a
asking
victim.
for stuff he doesn't deserve.
Yes. So I think maybe that's why it did end up a little bit higher, is at least with the weird things we got. And we had so much Lestat, and I love Lestat.
For me, it's the first season's a 10 out of 10 for me.
Mm-hmm.
I think the magic of that show blocks out any small nitpicks I had.
Yeah.
Then I have season 2, which is just a little bit too much Armand. Ultimately, it ends with Armand getting his ass kicked, and I'm like, and I can forgive you because you're acknowledging how horrible he is.
True.
And then season 8 just has a combination of 3 with the Vampire Lestat.
Yeah.
It has a couple of things that I think are working against the show that don't ultimately get resolved, including Armand and including his mother.
I think
And
that's fair enough.
it's an 8 out of 10 for me. It's still really good.
Yeah.
But, there was some better choices to be made here.
Again, like, other shows wish their worst episode looked like this. Same thing I said with The Bear. It's like, although their worst season was definitely lower than this. But anyways, it's like shows would kill for this to be their like worst season.
Absolutely.
So, yeah.
And I still think in a perfect world we would have a nominee for best lead in supporting actors in a comedy drama. A comedy or drama? Where would you categorize this?
I mean, it's hard because I would say drama, but then it is like The Bear's a comedy. So it's like this season would probably be put in comedy.
I would agree. With Lestat being the lead, it feels like there's a lot more of a lighthearted, laissez-faire about everything.
Yeah. The first two should and probably would be drama, but the third season I think could be comedy.
Well, because it's like the Golden Globes combine comedy or musical.
That would definitely be this. Ooh, maybe I could get some Golden Globes, maybe.
Maybe.
I don't know. We'll see. In a perfect world, I agree. I think Sam Reed would get a nom for lead, Jacob Anderson, and Delaney. Delaney, the girl who played Claudia / Regina.
Hales. Oh, Delaney Hales.
I actually think if I had to pick between the three, I would pick her. Because that summon scene,
Supporting
I was
actress.
like, I felt like you were yelling at me.
I was like, I'm sorry. I don't know
I
you,
felt
but I'm
that.
sorry.
Like, you are in this room right now. Like, wow. I would actually pick her for supporting actress, or maybe I wonder if she
Close
could
to
be counted
guest
as
actress.
guest. Yeah, if she could be eligible for guest, I would.
If she got into guest
that.
actress, like, there's no excuse
That's
for
a
her
lot.
not winning.
Yeah, that's a lot. No, I agree. And then intro song, like, or some song and sound nominations. Maybe some costume, hair and makeup.
Ooh, that would be a good one.
The hair and makeup and like the VFX of it all with like the heads were really cool. I love seeing the behind the scenes of that.
Yes, of that scene specifically.
That was very cool. But yeah, it'd be great if this could get a lot of craft noms, but I think we'll be lucky if it gets literally any singular nom. So sad to say.
Absolutely. I want to see if I can find the reception on season 3.
Season 3. I think the first two were pretty much perfect. Oh,
So, season 1 had a 98 and 73.
what the heck, audiences?
Season 2 had 100% and 84.
I have seen, I feel like, that a lot of people like season 2 better, which is interesting to me. Again, it might be the rose-colored glasses of remembering how good the trial to the end was, because that was pretty great. That's like me. I remembered the second season being better than the first, but it was...
And then, what do you think the Vampire Lestat is currently at?
It is very different, so I could see some critics being turned off by that. And then the certain choices of it all. I would say maybe a 90 and then like 80 for audience.
It is currently at 98% from critics and 85%.
I was
from
about to say
audiences.
85, but then
I know, I
no,
heard it.
no.
I was about to say, are you about to kill this?
Oh no, I almost killed the audience. Anyways.
Lestat coded.
No, it's the drama. First I'm gonna shoot you, then I'm gonna shoot your husband. Anyways, so shy. Yeah.
So, all this to end on, season 4 has officially been greenlit and once again rebranded to be Queen of the Damned. Which I found out right before filming this has actually already been adapted as a separate movie. And
so Luke's gonna make me watch that soon. It has a 17% on Rotten Tomatoes.
Yeah, but
just
look at
for
her.
y'all.
How can you not want to see that costume in action?
She does look great. And here's what I would say is I watched the Tom Cruise Mummy movie, and I did not rate that very high, but I actually I think I rated like 1.5 stars or maybe 2 stars. It was pretty bad, but the mummy design, it was like a woman.
Mm-hmm.
She looked so cool, and she was carrying that score. And I low-key put that above a few other movies just because I was like, I loved that design, and I'll say it. That carried a lot more than some of these other movies. So a design for someone can do a lot. So we'll see with the movie.
Very interested. So from what I was looking at the cast, it doesn't have Louis involved at all, but it does have a Lestat. So who awakens Akasha.
Yeah.
I've seen this design for a while, but I had no idea it had anything to do with Interview with the Vampire. So that'll be a very surreal experience to watch, I'm sure.
Yeah. Well,
But-
hopefully the show will still include Louis. I'm sure they will.
How can they not?
Yeah. So.
In any case, we need to find out what happened to his leg and Armand's eye.
Yeah.
Was really, really hoping we'd get to see Louis rip his eye out. But,
Guess
whatever.
We'll get to look forward to that next season.
No, for real.
Better than nothing.
But no, I'm very excited about it. I'm interested to see when the Akasha steps in. She was very cool in the little bit that she was in this season.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I'm very curious how we get there. And what does the concert of it all have to do with anything? I was really thinking until it was the apocalypse that the secret agent guy was planning on getting rid of all of the vampires who came to the concert and was using this. But I'm but then how do we get to the apocalypse after that?
I don't know.
Unless it's an eternal situation where you have to sacrifice a bunch of vampires to wake her. Which could be something.
Yeah. Again, this show has given me faith that they'll figure it out. But we'll see.
I will say I'm more concerned if it's starting a little rough and getting there.
Yeah.
I don't. This is especially after its first season where it's it can hit, land, and go.
Yeah.
I'm a little worried it'll stumble a little at the beginning for me.
I am excited to see a trailer, I think. Because
Yes,
I think
a trailer's going to do a ton.
I also wasn't quite sure what the Vampire Lestat would look like, just because I didn't know a whole lot about it. But then I saw the trailer and I knew what vibe they were going with, and I loved it. So I'm hoping I have a similar experience with the new one.
Man. But then, we have no idea. We can't guess how much of a role they'll have in it. So it'll be a big change, I think. Bigger than this one changing.
Yeah.
So, but we'll see. And we'll certainly cover it because this has been such a fun series to look at. So I think that is going to wrap up our conversation today. Thank you guys so much for watching. Both of the first seasons of Interview with a Vampire is currently on Netflix.
Yeah.
And then The Vampire Lestat is currently on AMC Plus, which you can get a free week trial.
Yes. So 7 episodes. Find a day you can binge it, or a week where you'll have several nights to watch a few episodes here and there, and you'll do fine.
Yeah.
So.
Highly recommend.
Yeah.
So until next time, I'm your host, Luke.
And I'm your host, Alicia.
And thank you so much for watching Not So Straight Nerds.
Bye.